Harry Potter has become one of the biggest franchises of all time, spanning 8 films and is over 20 years old. So the real question is it worth watching? Welcome to Is It Worth Watching, where we analyse movies, TV shows biggest and best and determine whether or not they're worth putting in the grind or whether they're better left on the shelf. Let's get into it. Harry Potter follows the journey of a young wizard across 8 films, discovering his past and what went on in his past, to discovering his true potential and meeting all these big Wizarding World icons to these big Wizarding World villains. This has all the biggest protagonists and all the antagonists that you really want in a Wizarding World, and seeing Harry navigate his way through a world that keeps getting gradually darker and grittier, it is something where we grow up at the same time as the characters in this story. Before you decide to delve yourself into a Harry Potter filled weekend, you need to understand that there is a commitment of this. 2 hours plus per film, and there is 8 of those. And that's not including the spin-off films, which there is 3 of those, and the consistency of those 3 particular spin-off films are not as great as the actual franchise. But if you were just to cast your eyes on the original 8 films, then yes, there will be a commitment issue of over 2 hours per film. I think 1 or 2 of them just reach under the 2 hour mark, but that is roughly what you're talking per film, so that is a lot of hours to spend watching this kind of franchise. But why do people love watching Harry Potter, and why should you go and watch it? I mean, that is down to you and whether you really are into the Wizarding World sort of vibe. If you're into that Dungeons and Dragons bullshit, this isn't quite down that road, but it's on that same sort of wavelength where it's not too far from that. And I think you can really get lost in this kind of world with the character development, feeling like you're growing up with those characters, feeling like you can really get invested in the protagonist and get behind Harry and his group with Hermione and Ron, as well as feeling like you absolutely despise the antagonists like Voldemort and other people amongst this journey. I think it is great delving in for the very first time, and out of all these sort of franchises, I think this is one of those which you kind of get addicted to wanting to see what happens in that next film. And it's not one of those that seemingly becomes repetitive or seemingly is a sequel for sequel's sake. Those sequels seemingly offer something that the story takes time to delve into and really takes its time in honing the actual stories and the books into the films, and I think they're magnificent. And if you've definitely not watched these for the first time, you can definitely delve yourself in and get lost in the magical wizarding world. But what are the bad things about Harry Potter? Well, like we said, the commitment is massive. If you're not willing to commit to 8 films, which are 2 hours plus each, plus the spin-offs, they're not compulsory, and I wouldn't even watch those anyways, but you have to put that in mind. You have also got to put in mind the fact that the consistency sometimes, according to many, isn't great, because obviously after the first 3 films you feel like you've peaked, but then obviously you've got the other half of the films which are still quality, just not at the same level as probably arguably the first 3 films. And with those other films, I think the franchise, if you're more of somebody who likes family oriented films, you're going to love the first 3 films and absolutely get indulged in them. But then you might find the later ones too dark for yourselves to really get indulged into. Or it might be the opposite, where you're not really wanting this sort of cheesy sort of magical world and you want to get straight into the dark stuff. I think that could be a problem for you, and I'd urge you probably maybe not to watch Harry Potter if you're not wanting that cheesy sort of vibe, because you'd have to sit through 3 of those kind of films, maybe 2, depending on which way you stand, because 3 is sort of a mix of cheesiness and a little bit of that darkness sort of creeping in. So let's answer the question then. Is Harry Potter worth watching? Yeah, I think it's still great to this day. And yes, they're making this new TV show, which in my opinion will be nowhere near as good as these quality films. These films were my childhood, and even though some of the later ones, which were darker as a kid and I didn't really enjoy them, as an adult I really delve into those, and I would highly suggest, if you haven't yet watched the Harry Potter universe, at least give them a try, because I think you will really get caught up in this sort of magical world of the Harry Potter universe. The spin-offs might not be for everyone, and they're certainly not for me, and the commitment of the 2 hour plus, you definitely have to find time to watch these, and you don't want to be breaking off halfway through and pausing it and leaving it till you come back. You definitely want to watch these back to back to back if you possibly can. But do let us know down in the comments down below, is Harry Potter worth the grind, or is it worth leaving on the shelf? Let us know those comments down below. And if you haven't yet seen our thoughts on The Walking Dead, whether it's worth it or not, and wanting to find out our answer to whether or not you would suggest it to a friend, then click on screen now. Or if not, then check out some of our other videos like our Everything Changes series, which is one of the best series we've ever done on the channel. Check those out now.